Good evening to all the undead ghouls and monsters. We are your horror hosts for tonight's Last Rites. What is up, Monster Squad? Welcome to a very special episode 17. This was supposed to actually be part of our two-part episode on the second half, but because this movie is something special, I thought it deserved its own podcast. And the movie that we're talking about is Eli Roth's Thanksgiving. This movie is one of the 5 trailers from the 2007 Grindhouse faux trailers that they created. If you guys have seen the trailer's a little different. It kind of gives you it makes it feel like a more of a period piece, like maybe from like the 70s, or like maybe it was going to be something from back in the day of the Pilgrims. But you saw a lot of modern things in the trailers. It definitely had, the way it was filmed had a 70s look to it. I just assumed that this movie, and I think Ollin too, thought that this was going to be more of like a period piece, kind of like an homage to like one of the earlier slasher films.
Yeah, I thought it was going to be like in the 70s with like the gritty images and all that.
Yeah, and clearly it's just because it was part of the Grindhouse, and the Grindhouse had that look to it, so they probably just did the trailers that way too, just to keep it all like uniform. At least that's what I think. I'm not for sure. Thanksgiving, Eli Roth, 2023. Very cool movie. This gave me all the feels that I wanted to. I had a very strong feeling of Scream and I Know What You Did Last Summer, kind of the whodunit. You know, you're trying to figure out who the villain is, and you have like a whole like group of people that, you know, basically are suspect to be the killer. And I definitely had my list going.
Yeah, it was really fun to follow like all of the guys that were like the main suspects, and then realizing, well, now this guy is more like a red herring, and then you'd cross off your list.
Yeah, it definitely had a lot of those guys. And as you know, the movie's progressing on, you're sitting there crossing off your list. You're like, fuck, okay, it's not that guy. And then you're just going down your list, and then even like, to me, even all the way at the very end, because I never suspected who the killer actually was, because I knew that they weren't going to do this to me, because they did it once before in the last Scream movie. So I completely counted the guy out.
Yeah, it's one of those cases where you think it's too obvious to be true, and it still gets you in the end. I gotta admit, I didn't see it coming.
Yeah, I didn't see it coming until it came, and then it went, and I was like, motherfucker. Like, they fucking did it. Like, I can't believe they did that. Like,
it was well played.
Yeah, definitely. If you're gonna do something like that, you get it right on the cusp of the last horror movie that, you know, had their plot twists, and this definitely had its plot twists. The how he did it and the why that he did it was super cool. You know, he had one of those what I like to call a murder board, with all the pictures and the strings, and you know, and like his numbered, and you know, this person has to go first, and the reasoning why they have to go, which I always find interesting, because it's always stupid that these guys create murder boards, because it's like if they're gonna get caught, you basically just gave the cops, you know, your whole detailed, you know, plot on what you were doing.
Yeah, it just made the job much easier.
Yeah, exactly. Before we get any deeper into this today, what do we got for Liquid Death, Ollin?
I'm doing one of the teas, actually, the Armless Palmer.
Oh, nice. So you got the half and half tea.
Oh yeah.
I got the old trusted Severed Lime. Liquid Death, Death the Plastic, Murder Your Thirst, and then these guys are murdering our thirst throughout this podcast. Again, we are not officially sponsored by Liquid Death. We would love to be, so this is an unofficial sponsor to them. If you're listening out there, Liquid Death, hit us up. Give us some more flavors to play with.
Real good. You know, this the Armless Palmer, they had to change the name. I think we've talked about this before.
Yeah.
But I'm surprised that I'm still finding it out in stores. So
Yeah, it's weird that I've only seen it one time out in the public eye. Everywhere else, it's still Armless Palmer. I don't remember what they changed it to. Something like Dead Billionaire or
yeah, something like that.
something like that.
I haven't even come across it yet. So
Yeah, I saw it once, and it was in the box. It was on the shelf at the grocery store. And I saw the one box, and then there was a ton of the Armless Palmer. And I'm like, man, people should be buying these and throwing them on eBay.
yeah.
But no, it's still like in abundance. They're probably going to have to run through their stock before they completely do the switch. But, whatever. Okay, back to Thanksgiving.
Yeah, we're gonna get into spoilers now. So spoiler territory.
Yep, if you guys don't want to hear spoilers, just keep the podcast running and turn the volume down because we need the likes. Okay, so yeah, the plot of this movie, to me, is a revenge film. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, that's the big reveal, right, at the end.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like you said, it's a whodunit, and it's cool to play along with the movie and see how it develops, and try to figure out why is the killer killing, which is basically your basic premise for any slasher movie, really.
Yeah, and then before it even gets into the killing, there is killing in the beginning of the movie that has nothing to do with the actual killer, but that's what sets it up for the killer to move his motive into what he does. Yeah, so they have this faux store that's like a Walmart, and it's called Right Mart. It's their Walmart of the universe.
Yeah, standing for Walmart. Yeah.
And it's Black Friday, but like what they did a couple of years back, where they had to move Black Friday onto Thanksgiving because the consumers just need to consume, and it's just ridiculous that these corporations kept pushing it back and pushing it back. So you get people out there that are missing their family time because they have to go to work, on a day that they shouldn't. But
yes. So we have Mitch and his wife, Amanda, played by Gina Gershon. Good to see her again. And basically, his character has to go to work because somebody he's the manager, and somebody calls in, and so he's the guy. He has to cover that shift in the middle of his celebration of Thanksgiving. So he has to interrupt his Thanksgiving. The sheriff is a friend of his, comes in to celebrate with him. Elsewhere, the owner of Right Mart is also celebrating Thanksgiving with his family, who includes his new wife, his daughter, and her boyfriend, who were getting ready to go to movies with their friends. Since Mitch has to go back to work, we see them at Right Mart, where the early Black Friday sales are about to take place. There's a big crowd in front of the Right Mart, and they all want their free, what is it, like a
waffle?
Yeah, like a waffle press or something. Yeah, it's starting to get kind of chaotic here.
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, and then the group of kids, instead of going to the movies, they decide that they needed to make a pit stop at the Right Mart.
Right.
And because the daughter is the daughter of the owner of the store, she's able to get the group inside, and then they're basically taunting the outside crowd and just really pissing them off. Amanda and the sheriff show up just because she wants to bring Mitch some leftovers. The sheriff comes with her because he's a good friend of the family, and also hears that they needed to get a little backup because they've only hired 2 security guards. But the crowd's getting crazy, and so Mitch has told them to get inside and has one of the security guards go and lock the door while they're trying to make the announcements. But they have their megaphone stolen from them. The crowd gets crazy and rowdy and basically pushes through, gets up to the door, and is now like banging on the doors, like especially while the teens are inside, just really taunting these people. They have their security guard that was on the outside. He basically just says, F this, and then just bails. Just decides it's not for him. He's not going to deal with this, unruly crowd, and just takes off. They get just crazy enough that they start to break the door, or the glass window door, and start to trample in. And the other security guard who has locked the doors from the inside has the door fall on him and gets trampled to death. With it being glass, there's still shards being left onto the frame, And as the crowd's pushing in, one other person is getting pushed into it, throat first into the glass, basically cutting his throat. And he still makes it a point to get to one of the free waffle irons, but ends up dying on the pallet with it in his hands.
That scene was pretty funny.
Yeah. The wife, Amanda, of Mitch, and she's in there, and with the crowd being crazy, she gets trampled down, and then these two other ladies with the shopping carts basically do like a shopping cart crescendo and just smash her face and head with the two carts, and then she has some of her hair wrapped up in the wheel. So after these ladies are done bickering, they go their separate ways, and the one with the shopping cart with the hair basically like rips a whole chunk of scalp along with the hair out. So it's pretty gruesome on that scene.
The special effects are really good in this movie. I love practical effects, so that's a plus. I love a slasher movie with real practical effects. So this is where this sequence is a complete riot, and this is where people start dying. Although I wouldn't really count these deaths as the kill count, because the slasher is not killing yet.
Yeah, I guess that's true. We have a kill count going on our board, and so we're gonna have to definitely change some of these kill counts because they're not technically done by the killer, John Carver. So I guess that would bring it down from 13 down to 10, because like I said, you learn something about Amanda later in the movie. So we had a 13, possibly 14 kill count, which now we've brought it down to 10. Because we have Amanda,
The security guard,
the throat guy. So that would be 10, 11, 12, 13. Yeah, so... Oh, no, I guess it would be 9.
Yeah.
Because we eliminate 4 people. Okay, so we have a possibility of 9 or 10. 9 done by John Carver, and then the 10th...
it's up in the air whether he dies or not. But we'll get into that.
So, yeah, and then the sheriff and Mitch first actually sees his wife on the ground dead and goes to her, and then the sheriff sees her on the ground dead with Mitch holding her, and just sees pandemonium going around in this Rite Mart, and basically just draws his weapon and fires it in the air, screaming, and that's how the movie starts.
Yeah, cut to Thanksgiving, the banner on the screen. So that's basically the beginning sequence, and that's what triggers the rest of the movie.
Yeah, and the movie basically takes place 1 year after those events, so not as 1 year later. So from that point, there's 9 kills that happen within this time frame, and I think it's only like a day, because it goes from Black Friday into Thanksgiving, right?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. There's about 24-hour period that happens in the last 2 acts of the movie,
because they have the whole sequence of him talking about. So the owner of Rite Mart wants to reopen the store, do Black Friday again, put the entire town, in uproar because of the events that happened the year before.
Yeah, and there's criticism going on. Mitch especially is one of the biggest guys that has quit his job, and he's pretty much rallying against Rite Mart because of the death of his wife, obviously.
Yeah, he definitely was on my list as one of the suspects.
Yeah, he was the first one.
Yeah, as it goes, progresses on, after Black Friday, it goes into the actual day of Thanksgiving because they have a parade. So that's the actual day of Thanksgiving, and then by the night's end, it's when about the movie wraps up.
We mentioned Bobby, right? The boyfriend. He was another one that was, because he disappears for a year and comes back. So he was another one of my guys on the list, but he was definitely a red herring.
He was one of mine also. In the opening sequence of that whole shopping disaster, he gets trampled also, and he's a baseball player, plays on the team, and he's the pitcher. He had his wrist trampled and broken after the events of that night. He basically disappears from the town and ghosts everyone, for 1 full year until he makes a return. So that's right there where you're just like, maybe he could be the killer. They really set you up wanting you to think this.
Yeah, and along with him is Ryan, played by Milo Manheim. He was another suspect for me because the whole friction that they have, because they both want to be with Jessica, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that whole dynamic that they have, that rivalry really that they have, really sets them up to be either the killer or the hero in this movie.
Yeah, see that I had the same feeling, and that's what brought in the whole the feels of Scream, because I thought maybe because these guys, like in Scream, you had the two guys, they were working together and they were friends. As for these guys, I thought they maybe did a little twist to it. You know, these two guys are bickering and battling, you know, over the girl. So, but what if they were secretly working together and they were, you know, the killer?
Oh yeah, yeah.
So that was on my radar as for suspects.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned Scream because in the trailer makes it seem more like like you said, like a 70s setting, more like Halloween, or like the first Nightmare on Elm Street almost.
Yeah.
A lot of the kills in the trailer are like first person perspective, and but now in this movie it's more modern, and it's more like you have that feel of like those early 90s slasher movies, like you said, Scream or I Know What You Did Last Summer, something like that.
Yeah. It's weird how the difference between the Grindhouse trailer to the actual Thanksgiving trailer are just completely different, but yet it's the same essential movie.
Yeah, especially because they use a lot of the actual scenes, actual kills from the trailer that they do a really good job of translating into what we're seeing now.
Yeah, I think you're the one who actually pointed that out to me, that there are several scenes that were in the Grindhouse trailer that he reshot into the new Thanksgiving movie.
Yeah.
Almost scene for scene.
Yeah, if you've seen the trailer, you'll recognize some of those kills.
Yeah, definitely I recommend watching the trailer before watching this movie, because then you'll be like, oh yeah. So yeah, super cool. But we go down the list here. The kill count, we have 9 kills. We have our first kill, which is Manny. So he was the cowardly security guard that ran off, and we see him in his apartment, and he looks like he's getting ready to skip town. He's got his passport, and as he's packing up, he sees a John Carver mask.
Yeah, because it's pretty funny because he puts his passport down, he has to grab something else, comes back to grab his passport, it's gone, right? So
yeah, classic. And then so he hears some sounds, and he has a cat, and his cat is sitting on the counter at in the kitchen. So he's in the living room, and you can kind of see, you can eyeball like the area of his kitchen from his living room, and the cat keeps looking into the kitchen, and it's completely hilarious because he's like, is he in there?
Yeah, where is he, boy? Is he right there?
And the cat keeps looking. It's just, you're just like, oh, he's in there. The cat keeps looking at someone, you know?
Yeah, and as soon as he approaches the door of the kitchen, the killer comes out from behind him.
Yeah, it's weird how he just pops out of nowhere. I was talking with Ollin about this, what I thought he used to kill him, and it looked like he stabbed him in the gut with a drill. Yeah, but in the breakdown here, it tells you it's an electric carving knife. So
which makes sense.
Yeah, it totally makes sense, because a lot of the kills in this, not all of them, but a lot of the kills are practical items that are used at your Thanksgiving meal or to prepare your Thanksgiving meal, which I thought was super cool.
Very on theme, yeah.
Yeah. Kudos to them for thinking ahead on that. Next, we have... No, actually, he wasn't the first one. The diner chick was the first one to be killed. So we went off completely on that one.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, we totally skipped her. So one of the two ladies in the which doesn't make sense to me. That's where we talked about some plot holes, because the two ladies that basically killed Amanda, only one of them we see get killed and is on the murder board. It's like, well, what happened to the other chick? Because it took the 2 shopping carts to basically smash her head.
Yeah.
And that's basically what killed her.
Yeah, the waitress Lizzie, she gets a lot of screen time. You see her in the crowd at first. She's one of the loudest ones. She's one of the more abrasive ones, you know. And you see her later be a part of Amanda's death, basically.
Yeah, so it's like what happened to the other chick? You know, there are some plot holes to it, but not enough for you to really like say this was a shitty movie, because it's the furthest thing from the truth. It was such a good movie.
Yeah, no, but she's the one, Lizzie,
Yeah,
played by Amanda Barker.
Yeah, so she's the first kill, not Manny. And we find out that she's an actual waitress, and the whole scene where we talked about how Bobby comes back to town is at her diner. Yep. And the new group, the group with the new boyfriend is at the diner, and they kind of just spot him at the distance, kind of like walking out of the diner. All they see is like the side profile in the back of him.
The way Lizzie dies is actually very inventive. It actually takes a while for her to meet her demise ultimately. She is closing up shop at the diner. The lights are off. She's basically just doing the last things of her shift, and she's being stalked by the killer. This is the first time we actually see the John Carver mask donned by somebody, because we see it first in a scene with the sheriff
and his new deputy.
And he was actually another one of my guys on the list. He's gonna be the killer, because he's a big guy too. Like when you see him, he's a big guy, and they're showing him the mask.
Yeah, but to me, when I saw that, I thought that was completely obvious, because it's like,
yeah,
you know, they're setting it up for, they want you to believe that this guy could be the killer, because he's got size on him.
Yeah, plus you don't know him, you know nothing about him.
Brand new to the town, you know. And then the scene with him putting the mask on, and then the sheriff telling him, like, you better get used to this because everybody's going to be wearing it.
Right. And Lizzie is actually there. She's the one that hands him the mask. So fast forward, she's closing up shop. Everything's dark. Now you see a guy with the mask on, and he has, I think, like a hatchet or something. He's chasing her down with some weapon of some sort. And so he grabs her and dunks her in like a sink full of water, and then opens the door for a walk-in freezer and sticks her face and hand wet onto the frozen door.
Yeah, that was awesome.
She has to peel her off, and just like a bunch of skin coming off of her face and hand. Somehow she gets away from him and tries to call for help on her phone, but her phone won't work, because her hands are too bloody to get the controls of the phone.
Yeah, she can't swipe or anything like that. So because of all the blood that's on the actual screen of the phone, and then she's trying to get it to unlock, which is even the best part, like, because of all the skin that's left on the door. The phone won't recognize her.
The face recognition feature won't work because it won't recognize her face. It's just like, fuck.
That shit was great.
She gets away from him again, and now we're outside. She's trying to look for her keys. She doesn't find her keys because obviously her bag's a mess. She can't find anything in there. And just as she's doing that, headlights come on from a car.
Yeah, it's one of those classic things. She's like, "Oh, I can't find my keys," and then fucking the car in the distance turns on. So you're like, "Oh, well, there's her keys."
Yeah. Then she starts running, and now she's running towards a dumpster in the parking lot.
Yeah, it's this, which is weird. Like, it's one of these giant ass, huge metal dumpsters with a giant metal lid.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what kind of. This is back east, so I don't know.
Yeah. I have no idea how they make their dumpsters over there, but.
Yeah, so I'm guessing because of weather, it's got to be like, really reinforced. But anyways, yeah, she thinks that she's going to be safe in this dumpster.
Yeah,
so
she jumps in it. Tries to anyway.
Yeah, and the vehicle rams the dumpster, so completely misses her. And she's, obviously thinking, oh, great, I'm safe.
Yeah, but then the lid comes down,
Oh, yeah. And lid comes down, and then boom, she gets cut in half.
Yeah, I was laughing, and I was thinking, is this a dumpster or a guillotine? Like, it slashes her completely in half.
Yeah, so that's got to be one heavy fucking lid. That just
Guts flying everywhere. Again, the special effects, the practical effects are incredible here.
Yeah, I don't think they actually used any CGI in this, and if they did a very good job of
seamless, yeah,
of disguising it. Kudos to the FX team.
Right, so that was Lizzie, and yeah, like you said, next is Manny.
Yeah, so we talked about him first, but we were just out of order with those two. And then next on the list, kill number 3 and 4. You recognize these two people. They're Lonnie and Amy. They were students from Hanover, and they were in the opening credit scene of the group of people that was waiting to get into Rite Mart.
Yeah, Lonnie was actually one of the big instigators of the riot. He was one of the first ones to rally up the people and push the doors and everything like that.
Yeah, he literally took the megaphone out of Mitch's hand.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
That's where he made the announcement that the store was open and people bum rushed to the front door.
Yeah, and we should mention he's like in the team, the rival team from the schools. You said it was Hanover?
Yeah, Hanover. So we're actually in the city of Plymouth, and Hanover's the next city over, and they've got their rivalry.
Yeah, he's a football player too, right?
Yeah, he's a football player. So the kids that were inside taunting, they were taunting him and everybody else that was not part of Plymouth.
And you mentioned you recognize him from that riot. You will also recognize him, not the same actors, but you'll recognize the characters also make an appearance in the trailer, and they die the same exact way.
Yeah, these are the situation that they're in is the same trailer situation from the Grindhouse trailer. So Lonnie's death, not very like spectacular or anything like that. It's nothing to write home about. Basically, he's led into this area where there's a giant trampoline, and his cheerleader girlfriend wants to, put on a show for him before their game. And as he's sitting there watching her bounce on the trampoline, she's turned around to start taking off pieces of clothing. But as she's turned around, the killer comes up to Lonnie and basically just twists his head completely backwards, snapping his neck. So and then just left him to sit there. So like I said, not very spectacular kill. It was kind of I think one of the weakest kills.
Yeah.
Of all the kills in the movie.
Yeah, not Thanksgiving related at all.
Yeah, exactly.
But,
I mean, same with the girlfriend too. It's not Thanksgiving related at all either. But
a cool kill though.
Yeah.
Amy's death was kind of cool.
Yeah, hers was a lot more inventive.
And you see it in the trailer, which is the trampoline.
Yes.
She's in the trampoline, bouncing.
Yeah, so this is the whole trampoline scene. The only difference between this and the trailer is she's in the process of getting naked, but doesn't actually get naked in the movie, or at least show any nudity. As toward the trailer, definitely shows nudity.
Oh yeah, she takes her top off. I remember that.
Yeah, it's like suggested that she's doing that. I mean, she takes her panties off in the movie, but you don't see anything. But she's in the process of taking her top off when she turns around and sees that he's dead, and then that's when she gets stabbed in the foot by a knife.
Yeah, a knife comes up from under the trampoline, and as she's bouncing, she gets stabbed, and
causes her to lose her literally
balance,
her footing.
Yeah, exactly.
Pun intended. And so she's now falling down on her back, but as she hits the trampoline on her back, knife goes up into her.
Yeah, bouncing onto the knife itself. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, so basically he's just repeatedly stabbing her. You see the knife go in and out, in and out, in and out. So as she's coming down, that knife's coming back up and through the trampoline until she's no longer bouncing. Next on the kill list here is Yulia. So Yulia is she's some kind of foreign, I would think. I want to say Russian, but something along those lines. Because her dad, when you hear her dad speak, you can tell that he's got that thick accent.
Yeah, he has an accent. Yeah,
sounds like he's maybe from the Baltic area,
right?
That region. And obviously she's probably not a transplant. She's a
Like a foreign exchange student, something like that.
no. She's she was born here. Obviously.
Yeah, like her parents are immigrants.
Yeah.
And she was born here. Yeah.
She's from here, but her dad sounds like he's like from
Eastern European somewhere.
Yeah, from Europe somewhere, or possibly Russia. So yeah, she's the next kill on the list, and she's dating in the group the guy named Scuba.
Right.
So he's also one of the other football players for Plymouth, and they're at their house when all these killings are happening. Yulia's dad swings by and grabs her. They were at the school, I think, when he grabbed her, right?
Yeah. Because we have the scene where Jessica actually very nearly gets killed by John Carver, but somehow makes it out alive of the school. And outside, we see that the police are actually there. And as soon as that happens, we have a fight, almost more like an argument between the boyfriend and the ex-boyfriend, Bobby and Ryan. And so Jessica sends them away, says she doesn't want to see them. And just as that's happening, Julia's dad comes in and says, we're moving to Miami or Florida, I think. And so they're in the middle of that. She's packing up.
Yeah, as she's packing up, she's FaceTiming with Scuba and Jessica.
And Jessica, yeah, who were driving. Because they went to see that one guy to get a weapon. They want to get a weapon. They want to get a gun from him because he's the gun dealer of the town.
Yeah, him and his dad. Was that McCarty?
Right, McCarty. Yeah, that's him.
Yeah, so McCarty, him and his dad are the gunsmiths of the town, and McCarty was throwing this like rager party, and during the party Scuba decided that he knew somebody that he could get a weapon, to keep themselves safe, and then so they went and visited him and got a gun.
Yeah, that's they have one of my favorite scenes in the movie, is McCarty is talking to some kids, and telling them the story about Black Sabbath, and one of the kids goes, "Who's Black Sabbath?" And he goes, "Get the fuck out of here." I was clapping. I was laughing. And
he's like, "Get off my fucking property."
That was great.
And the kid was still questioning. He's like, "I don't even know who Black Sabbath is."
Yeah, this movie has a lot of moments of levity, a lot of comedic scenes, and it's so much fun.
Yeah, it was definitely well written. So it definitely had a lot more premise to it than when we talked about Kill Her Goats.
Right. Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, by leaps and bounds. But yeah, so we're with Scuba and Jessica in the car. We just got a gun. She's packing because she's moving to Florida. And
so she FaceTimes them for a second time because like she had to stop to pack up. And so she's starting to pack up again, but she's like, well, I can just do this at my desk here and I'll FaceTime. And as she does that, the killer is behind her.
Oh yeah, this is one of the very interesting things of the movie. It's set in modern times, so they're using modern technology. So a lot of the killer posts his this table that he's setting up, another Thanksgiving table with the kills that he's been performing. So he's making posts on something like Instagram or whatever the equivalent of the movie is.
Yeah, he started as he started his kills, he started tagging.
He's tagging them, yeah.
He's tagging them as a group, and letting them know every time he does a new kill, there's a new entry at the table. So it started off with the table, and then the table became the table with their names.
Yeah, he's letting them know that they're next,
or
they're the target.
And then each of the people, like Lizzie and Manny, they're at the table. And then, early on, we didn't talk about it, but the other football player, Evan, and his girlfriend, because of Lonnie and Amy being killed, they canceled the game, and it just set Evan off. And he got calmed down by his girlfriend, and they went into the locker rooms to change because they were just fully geared up. And as they were changing, the killer comes in and kidnaps them. That's where Ollin was talking about how Jessica just barely escaped. And then at that point, that's when Yulia's dad like rolls up and then grabs her and says, we're moving to Florida, get in the car.
Yeah.
And then, then it leads into the other scenes that we just talked about with McCarty, and then Scuba wants to go to her house, so he's already heading that way. And then when we see the killer in the background of the FaceTime video, then they're really like, he's just like putting the pedal to the metal to get to her.
Yeah, but when they get there, I mean, the killer's already getting to work, right?
Yeah, he's already tranked the dad, and they had a police officer with them to protect them, apparently. But what a good job he did, because he got tranked and he's on the floor. So they get there, I wouldn't say in the nick of time, but they get there just in time for the killer is basically already got Yulia and has a knife to her throat, and he's like backing off while Scuba's like, basically they're having like a standoff between the two of them, along with her in the middle, and he's got his gun pointed at them, or at the killer, and the killer basically is moving through their house, which is also weird too, because the house it looks like it's heavily under construction.
Yeah, there's a lot of machinery there. There's plastic tarps everywhere.
Yeah, it's like they're doing a remodel or something like that. So they get to this one room that has a lot of the plastic sheeting hanging from the ceiling down, and a giant table saw just sitting in the middle of the room. I don't remember the actual interaction between the two, what was said, but basically he somehow trips the table saw on and throws Yulia like right at it. Being a clumsy girl, I'm guessing.
And she falls straight onto it and gets eviscerated.
Yeah.
Again, tripes and viscera just flying everywhere.
Yeah, just completely just shreds her insides.
More buckets of blood.
It kind of just really like humbles Scuba real quick, because he's now on the ground holding his dead girlfriend, asking Jessica like, what do I do?
Yeah, he has no idea what to do. He's completely defeated. We see the next scene is Jessica basically devising a plan, because she's seeing enough death at this point.
Yeah, so they basically get everybody together at the Wright house. They're putting together a plan for the Thanksgiving Day parade, trying to see if they can lure out the killer.
Yeah, his family's there, the sheriff is there, what remains of her friends are there.
McCarty and his dad are there. Like everybody's there that's still, has something to do with what's going on. So Thanksgiving Day happens. They're on the floats.
Yeah, so they decide that the time to do it will be the parade.
So they're doing the parade. They have one of the kids dressing up as the Thanksgiving Day turkey. I don't know if he was leading the parade. I think he was leading the parade, wasn't he? Or at least he was in somewhere of that area, because he was before the ship. So
yeah, maybe in between floats.
Maybe, but I think he was in front of the Mayflower.
Yeah.
So the family themselves were on the Mayflower float, dressed up as pilgrims, doing their waving and what people do on floats. As they're doing that, a group of clowns that are there, the clown comes out of nowhere with an axe and then just decapitates the kid who's the Thanksgiving Day parade turkey.
Another kill that was pulled directly from the trailer.
So at that moment, the driver of the truck has to do a hard stop, and then ends up hitting one of the people on stilts and knocks him. Basically, as that happens, he's rolling off the hood, and then the Mayflower itself is on this flat bed that he's towing, and it because I'm guessing inertia moves forward, and then the pillar of the ship impales the man in the back of the head, and it goes right through his face. Not so much a kill by the killer, but caused by the killer.
Yeah, that one's another cool one where like the special effects, just splurting blood everywhere.
Yeah, definitely a huge bucket of blood on that one.
Yeah.
He's a grandfather, you find out, and then there's two girls that are in the cab with him, and they basically just watch their grandfather get killed, and you just see all this blood just spurting on them.
They're just bathing in the blood.
It was insane. Next kill from that point would be Kathleen. She's the new wife of Mr. Wright.
Yeah, so at the parade they get kidnapped. So a lot of tranking in that scene. A lot of people get tranked. He steals a cop car and tranks Jessica, her dad, kidnaps a bunch of people. Kathleen Wright, the wife, is one of them. And now we're seeing her with the killer in the place where she got kidnapped.
Yeah, so like the pictures that he was sending about the Thanksgiving parade, or not Thanksgiving parade, the Thanksgiving Day table that he was setting up, he now basically has everybody at the table minus Kathleen. And we find out that Kathleen is actually being set up as the main course. So he's preparing her like an actual turkey.
Yeah.
You don't see any stuffing happening, but he's basically marinating her and basting her.
He's
and
basting her alive, basically.
Yeah, and then
Seasoning her.
Yeah, seasoning her with like the salt and the pepper. And so she has, I don't know if it's like a moment of clarity or she comes to, because she's basically unconscious on the table while he's doing all this.
Yeah, she wakes up at some point.
Yeah, so she tries to make a break for it, and there's a big ordeal with her, like basically trying to escape, but eventually she gets caught. And you see that from the point for where it started, where she was like on the table being basted, to after she was caught, now you see her, she's actually in the oven. Killer has stabbed her side of her chest with one of those thermometers that will pop up when you're done. And so he just basically sets the oven on and then just bakes her, like cooks her alive.
Eesh.
Yeah, so you see her
Down got me.
You see her die inside of the oven, and then after she like basically demises, you see the little thermometer pop up.
Yeah, once she's dead. Yeah, that one's pretty gruesome. That one got me.
Not as gruesome as the next kill. So the next kill is Evan. He is the main football player, the one who threw the temper tantrum about the game being canceled. He's there with everybody else, but the killer now is trying to set up a game for them to play, basically asking, what they're thankful for, which I thought was funny because he didn't even give Evan the chance to like tell like what he was going to be thankful for or what he was not thankful for, or even like answer the question. He like grabs him by the back of the neck, slams his head down on the table, and gives his speech about all the things that were said earlier in the movie by Evan, like how he wants to be.
He was obsessed with going viral.
He wants
on the internet and.
He wants to be famous, virally famous.
Internet famous and all this.
Yeah, so he makes his jokes and stuff about that, and then this entire scene is also being live streamed, so everybody's basically watching them at the table, and he's going around, doing his thing. So if you have access to it on the, I guess like when one of the social medias goes live, you're able to watch it. So that's what he's doing here, and. He has Evan down, and he takes out this giant meat tenderizer, just ridiculous, overly sized.
Bigger than I've ever seen.
Yeah. Smashes the fuck out of his head, just completely caves it in, just repeatedly just goes to town smashing. And then you see on the phone itself that's live streaming it, you see all the
bunch
little
of likes.
Yeah, all the thumbs up and shit. Cause this guy must have really pissed off some people, and which is sick of our world to,
Yeah.
They see this guy die, and then the first reaction is like, oh, great, cool. Here, thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up.
Yeah, a little bit of a social commentary there.
Yeah.
Yeah, very well done. More cool practical effects on this one because you actually see the head smash. So they made a head, one of these fake heads that they could literally smash, and it cracks open and blood's splurting everywhere.
No, it's pretty good too because I didn't even. I would have to go back and watch it again, or at least pause it. On the scene.
You'd have to pause it. It's this blink and you'll miss it moment, but
the way they filmed it, they did it so well that you couldn't even tell it was fake. Upon the first watch.
Right. No, I've seen this movie about 3 times now, so I've caught a lot of the details on it, and it looks great.
And then technically, this is the last kill of the killer.
Yes. Technically, the kills end here, but we have one more possible kill.
So Bobby, upon him returning, they've had some questionable, her and Jessica and him have had some talks. It's one of those things where she's in the back of her mind, you know, thinks maybe he could be the killer, but doesn't know. And
yeah, there's a bit of a reveal in a conversation that Jessica has with the sheriff.
yeah, so she's there's a scene with her, and she sees that he's coming to, and the sheriff basically acts like he's saving her life, gets her into an office, and all the other police are in there. They're trying to figure out, you know, why he's doing what he's doing. You know, was it because of the whole incident in the beginning of the movie or not? She starts putting like pieces together. So she's kind of asking the sheriff for some time by herself so she can kind of pull herself together, you know, get her thoughts together and think a little more clearly. But she starts noticing little things like here and there. There was a chase scene right after Evan got killed. So her and Scuba break free from the table. And so now the killer's like after them, and Scuba gets not stabbed but sliced in the arm, and the killer still goes on after Jessica.
Yeah, because she makes a break for it. Manages to get a head start.
Yeah, so she, as she's escaping, she runs into like one of the buildings that's nearby, and that's where she kind of sees. She's basically hiding in the building, but then she sees Bobby in the building, and you see him kind of wearing the same outfit that the killer's wearing. And
another red herring.
Yeah, another red herring. So she's in her mind, she's putting two and two together, like, oh shit, you know, it was Bobby. And so then she sees the sheriff, and then she tells the sheriff, oh, you know, it's Bobby, it's Bobby. And then the sheriff's inside. You hear some gunfire, and then the sheriff runs out, empties his gun, and puts more bullets in there, and says he got away or some shit like that. And then that's where like they end up back at the in the office, and the police are there. So they were able to take, you know, like Scuba and then her family, like, or her dad and the rest of the friends, to the hospital to get treatment. And as she's sitting in the office, she kind of you know, she sees an evidence bag, and it's just, she's processing like all these different things. And then she's picking off like pieces of like flower stickers, you know, like the little things with the little spikes on them. She's like peeling them off her pants,
like
and off her shirt.
Yeah.
And then so the sheriff leaves her to be, you know, get herself put together, and then he comes back in, asks, you know, if she's ready to go. She just gets up and starts to go, and she kind of like looks down at the sheriff's shoes and pants, and sees the same debris that she was pulling off of herself onto him. And now she has this look of terror, and the sheriff asks,
yeah, she's putting it together in her mind. You can see it in her eyes.
Yeah, and so the sheriff asks her if she's all right, and she's like, no, I'm sick. And he's like, oh, we can, you know, we'll get you checked out. He starts to walk back to the door, and then like 2 steps stops, and then turns around, and then has a, what do you say?
Oh, because he said, because he had mentioned something in that first meeting about the killer always making a mistake. And that's where you can figure out the killer always makes a mistake and gives himself in.
Yeah, but he said that before he left the first time, and then when he came back, like, he said something to her, like when he stopped and realized that she figures
her out. Yeah.
So because he was starting to lead her through the door, and he stops and turns around and looks at her, and he said something like,
if only,
because she was stuck on the fence when she was trying to get away from the killer earlier, and he was saying something like, if you were only there for like, you know, like another like
2 more seconds or something,
because he realized that she was, you know, staring at the debris and shit that was on his feet and his pants.
Yeah, he had made that mistake that he was talking about.
Yeah. So he was very quick to figure that out. And at that point, he starts to come at her, and then Bob enters Bobby. He comes crashing through the window, knocking the sheriff down. I don't know if he's just playing coy, like acting like he's knocked out, but they get away into the building, and then now he's chasing after them. As he comes out of the office looking for them in the warehouse, he makes another statement, which is also from the trailer.
This Thanksgiving, there will be no leftovers.
Yeah,
that
was really cool.
It's really cool to see that he got to say that one line.
So yeah, he's trying to basically come after them now. They see Bobby's uncle's tow truck, and they get into the tow truck, and they're trying to get away, but the it's like being blocked, and finally he like gets it free, but then it has like some kind of tow line or something like that the sheriff grabs and wraps around one of the pillars. But before, I guess, yeah, I'm like jumping around. Before they get into the tow truck, as they're running by, there's a bunch of floats in there. So Jessica she turns on one of the gas valves for one of the floats to start blowing up. So it kind of gives them a little bit of cover with sound because it's making the big old filling up.
Yeah.
So that way he doesn't hear, if they're running around or trying to hide somewhere. Although once they're in the tow truck, it kind of gives them away where they're at. But that's where he grabs the tow line and then he wraps it around the one of the pillars, and then the truck finally was able to break free, but it drove up into a point where the tow line was taut to where it won't go anymore. She made a comment early on in the movie about being able to pack up one of those muskets. Like her dad taught her how to do it. Like,
oh right, yeah.
Yeah, so all that shit just happened to be in the back of the tow truck randomly,
miraculously.
Yeah, so she's in the back of the tow truck, just packing it because he's now making his way towards them, and then so she packs it all up, and you think that she's gonna shoot him, but then she doesn't. She ends up shooting the parade
the balloon behind him.
Yeah, so, and it's got whatever gas that's in it, and just completely blows
the house out.
And that enables them to break free because it knocks the pillar like loose, and then the cable's free, and then they take off out the door. But as they're going out the door, it's like a giant fireball following them.
Yeah, and just engulfs everything in its path.
And you kind of see
like a backdraft.
Yeah, and you kind of see it hit the back of the sheriff, and then that's the last time that you see him.
That's the last time you see him, yeah. One of the rules in any slasher movie, if you don't see the guy, the body, then maybe he's not dead. So so that's the one that's a little bit debatable, right? Is John Carver dead?
Yeah, so that's
Question mark?
That's where it comes with the kill count. So
yeah.
There's 9 kills by the killer, and then the kill number 10 would be the killer itself. But I agree with Ollin. If no body, no death.
Yeah, and I guess this would be a good point to mention that a sequel was greenlit.
Yeah, so they have it greenlit for 2025, if Eli Roth is so inclined to do, and we'll find out probably later on this year if that's going to be something in play or not.
Right. So,
and if it will be the same person or if it'll be a new character.
Right. It's like you said. Is it going to be Dr. Madrimi back again, or is it going to be like a Scream type situation where somebody else dons the John Carver mask?
Yeah. I mean, clearly the John Carpenter is going to be the killer throughout the series if it becomes a series, but who is it going to be John Carver? Is it the same character, or is it going to be a new person? So only time will tell.
And so did we? So the big reveal is that the sheriff had made this kill list, which is not completely, because some of the people he killed were not on the list, and the people he tranked, it had made sense that he tranked some of the people because they were not on the list, right?
Yeah, so he had some kind of code to live by, but he wasn't just out to kill, but he had like people. This is where I talked about earlier, the murder board. So his murder board was set up for people, that were solely responsible that killed Amanda. And this is where we find out that Amanda was pregnant.
Yeah, sick with child, as they say.
So yeah, there's a picture of her, and then there's a picture of an ultrasound with a supposed baby. And so
the big reveal is that his whole reason for killing these people is that was his family that they killed.
Yeah, and I think he gave that he broke that down to Jessica, in that warehouse area.
Right, because he shows her the whole kill board with all the pictures, and we see the ultrasound and all of the rest.
Yeah. Like I said, overall, I thought it was great. Definitely gave me the feels of like 90s nostalgic, like Scream and I Know What You Did Last Summer. Definitely well written. The kills were pretty unique, which I thought was super cool. What would you consider your favorite kill through this?
My favorite kill had to be, the Lizzie in the dumpster was kind of weird, but it was really cool. But I have to say, given the special effects, Evan, even though I don't know, didn't really make that much sense with the giant mallet, but just the special effects of the making a fake head to literally smash with, that was really cool.
Yeah, I liked Kathleen. I thought she was my favorite kill.
Oh, that was so gruesome. That one got me. I can't put it in my favorite because it really made me. It gave me feelings. Like, it made me claustrophobic seeing it from the inside.
It made me feel real emotional. Like, because I was like, I could never imagine myself being put into that situation.
Yeah.
You know, and then he like manipulates her body to make it look like similar to a Thanksgiving
ties her with the
turkey,
the strings, and
like chopped her head off,
and all of that.
Folded her arms up like wings, and lifted her legs up like how the turkey's legs are. Like they went really full on with the whole like aesthetic of of really bringing the Thanksgiving dinner to life, and then using her as that. So. She had other shit happen to her. She got stabbed in the back with a fucking pitchfork, and so just a lot of different shit. But being cooked alive in the oven,
yeah,
fuck
that. Favorite scene?
I think the whole chase scene with Lizzie. That was my favorite scene.
At the end, or
no, in the beginning, like with the waitress Lizzie.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, so where he like dunked her face and just basically slapped her.
Oh yeah.
Slapped her wet, face and hand on that freezer door.
Yeah, she can use their phone. Yeah, that was really funny.
Yeah, that entire sequence, that hands down was my favorite scene.
Yeah, for sure. I'm in between two. The one that made me laugh the most was that guy with the waffle press. That he's dying, but he's still holding onto it, and then somebody comes in
clutching it
and grabs it from his cold dead hands. That made me laugh. But my favorite scene was Patrick Dempsey saying the line from the trailer. Absolutely, like seeing him say the line out, like it made me jump out of my seat.
That's cool. All right, stab wise, what would you give this movie?
Oh, I'm giving it a solid 4 stabs.
4 stabs. I would give it 4.5 stabs.
Wow.
I thought it was really good, very well done, very well executed. No pun intended.
Super fun.
Yeah, there are a couple plot holes. That's, I think, where I can't give it a 5, but they're, it's stuff that I can overlook.
Yeah.
But very strong movie, especially for being like a slasher and being a seasonal style slasher. It's like one of those Black Christmases, Halloween,
Krampus.
Yeah, Krampus, April Fool's Day, in that vein.
Yeah.
Halloween obviously is near and dear to my heart. It'll always be number 1, but I think this one kind of slides into number 2 now for holiday movies, like holiday slasher movies.
Yeah, it was really cool that they made that Eli Roth actually got to make his entry for the Grindhouse trailers, and I guess now out of the 5, they've made 3. There's 2 more.
Yeah, so the first ones that they made was Machete.
Yeah.
And then Hobo with a Shotgun.
Right.
And then Thanksgiving is our 3rd one. And then we have left is
Werewolf Women of the SS by Rob Zombie, which I'm going to expect now.
Yeah, I want to see this movie.
Yeah, totally. And then the other one would be Don't by a trailer by Edgar Wright, which I don't see how they could do that one though.
Yeah, I've been reading online about these, is that there could be a possibility of the Werewolf Woman, but they said don't hold your breath for Don't.
Yeah.
Because they
well
would
put.
But Edgar Wright is really, really like a genius.
Yeah, he's an inventive guy. Maybe he could work something out. I don't know.
Yeah, I totally see him and Simon Pegg sitting down and saying, you know what, let's fucking make this movie.
Yeah, that would be cool.
And I'm sure that there's a will, there's a way. They will make it happen.
Yo, I'm super down.
So, yeah, fingers crossed that they do, and that we get all 5 of these trailers as movies, which would be excellent. Super cool.
Yeah, if in our lifetime we get to see all 5 of them, that would be amazing.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, let's put out this in the ether and make it happen.
Just positive vibes for Werewolf and Don't.
There you go.
All
okay,
right.
so that was our review for full spoiler review for Thanksgiving by Eli Roth.
Yeah, yeah, totally a great movie. Loved it. Let us know what you guys thought about it. Give us some comments if you liked it, if you didn't like it. You know, what is your favorite scenes? What are your favorite kills? Or what you didn't like about it? Just let us know. Again, we'd like to thank Liquid Death for murdering our thirst through this podcast, Death to Plastic. If you're out there, Liquid Death, please sponsor us. If you guys enjoyed the music as the intro, outro, and the background music playing while we were giving the podcast, that's by a band named Zayo. The song is a raw remixed version of Creator Destroyer, which is on their new album, The Crimson Corridor. And you can find Zayo at zayoonline.net. Also, if you guys want to hear more from us, we have horror trivia that we do on our TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and Tumblr. You can listen for the podcast on YouTube, Rumble. Also, you can find it on the Apple Podcast or the Spotify for podcasters. And you can find all of our normal social medias on the same sites: Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, Tumblr, YouTube, Rumble, TikTok. And any more information about us and the things that we talk about on the podcast, you can find at our website, which is www.thehorrorscene.com. You have anything else you want to add?
Well, if you made it to the end, you are a legend, and thank you for listening to us.
Yes. If this is your first time, welcome. Glad you guys listened to the show. Definitely give us a like, a subscribe, and hit your bell for all future notifications. And if you are a returning member of the Monster Squad, thank you again for giving us your time.
And bring new members.
That's right. Tell a friend. Go dig some up if you got to. So remember to stay creepy and keep it spooky. From our grave to yours, these have been your last rites.